quiet. Everyone's so quiet. Ready. Before I officially call the meeting to order, welcome everyone. This is a special meeting of the City Council, a special summertime meeting. So welcome to this summery feeling meeting. Before I call the meeting to order, I'll just go through the agenda briefly so everyone has a sense of what we're doing. We have a lot of routine business this evening, things to take care of, some grants, some appointments. So we will start off with a resolution, and then we'll have the opportunity to take a short recess. And then from there, we will approve some minutes, take care of some routine business, take a break for some subcommittee work, and then come back to take action on those. So with that, I'll officially call to order this special meeting of the Beverly City Council, Monday, August 21st, 2023, 6:30 p.m. Ms. Kent, will you please call the roll?
Bowen? Here. Crowley?
Here.
Feldman? Houseman? Rand?
Here.
Rotundo?
Here.
St. Hilaire?
Here.
Sweeney?
Here.
And Flowers.
Here. Thank you, Ms. Kent. Councilor Crowley, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, Councilor Crowley.
You're welcome.
We'll go right to our resolution. This is Order 191. This is a resolution in honor of Beverly's 2023 Senior of the Year. And this person was honored at Senior Day in the Park, but councilors, as you all are familiar with, this is a resolution that then we have the honor of officially voting on at our next summer meeting. And so I'm going to go to the podium and invite Claire Lundberg to join me at the podium, if she would. I know I promised you would have to stand for two, so I'll read fast.
That's all right.
So Claire was honored, as I said, at Senior Day in the Park as our Senior of the Year. But Claire, it's an honor to welcome you here to City Council Chamber and to be able to read this resolution fully that celebrates you and all that you do for our community. And then the council will have the opportunity to officially take a vote and affirm this, this recognition and our thanks to you. So this is a resolution in honor of Beverly's 2023 Senior of the Year, presented by the Beverly City Council, with great appreciation for the volunteerism, community-mindedness, and caring of our esteemed honoree. Whereas Claire Lundberg, a kind and dedicated member of our Beverly community, has been selected as the Beverly Council on Aging Senior of the Year for 2023. Whereas Claire was born and raised in Ipswich, the youngest of 5 siblings, and then went on to make her home in Beverly to raise her daughter, build her career, and create connections that are and have been rooted deeply in service to and for her community. Whereas Claire has enjoyed a long and successful career in the banking industry, beginning as a teller at First National Bank of Ipswich, going on to earn a degree in business, and then working at Eastern Bank as a corporate trainer, a role she relished for the connections it helped her form with the countless students she taught in her classes. Whereas Claire is truly a teacher and a mentor at heart, she remains involved in helping to create connections and nurturing relationships while leading her tech tutoring classes at the Beverly Senior Center, designed to help her fellow seniors use all their tech tools, their phones, and their devices more confidently. Whereas Claire is also known for her love of children, welcoming the chance to be auntie to countless children over the years, both those related to her and those who were chosen family, as well as loving time with her 2 step-grandsons, embracing the role of spare Nana, as the boys affectionately called her when they were small. Whereas Claire has also given her time, energy, and care to children from the wider community, creating connections through volunteer efforts as a big sister with Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America. Whereas Claire is a lover and passionate supporter of the arts, volunteering her time for over 25 years at the North Shore Music Theater and taking any opportunity offered to go see a Broadway show or live performance. Whereas Claire is an avid reader and a lover of books, always ready to share a book recommendation or talk about a favorite story. Whereas Claire's love of books and of reading has led her to spend countless hours at the Beverly Senior Center, helping to curate and improve its library, as well as creating and leading the Hooked on Books Challenge to further engage her fellow seniors in a love of reading, both for learning and simply for its own joy. And whereas Claire truly exhibits the community pride and caring, the sense of leadership and joy in sharing kindness and giving of themselves in service to others that embodies true volunteerism and generosity of spirit. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Beverly City Council does hereby congratulate, thank, and honor Beverly's Senior of the Year, Claire Lundberg, and wishes her much happiness, success, and good health, and orders that the city clerk spread a copy of this resolution upon the city records. Congratulations, Claire, and thank you.
Thank you. I'll just make this very, very brief. I thank you for the honor, first of all. And anybody who was there at Senior Day saw how completely taken aback I was by this. I had no expectations whatsoever. And just let you know that it is my honor to work with the seniors. They're delightful. Every one of them has been so great. It's a great community. I'm happy to help them with their devices, and it just really impresses home how significantly behind some of these seniors have been left. And I take great joy in showing them it's not as hard as they think it is, as long as they can approach it with an open mind and just kind of take it step by step, little by little, and we'll get there. So that's been a great joy for me, as well as managing that library, which we just started out with a handful of books, and now we've got probably over 1,200 books in available for seniors to borrow, and generating the reading challenge. It's unbelievable how responsive they have been. I have over 55 members. It's the first year that we've had it, and some people have already read close to 70 books this year. And their greatest surprise is how much they enjoy it, how they had gotten away from it, and the variety of things that they're reading that we encourage them to read has just been great. We even had our first social not that long ago, and just introducing readers to each other and watching that community flourish. So it's been my honor and my joy to spend my time in my retirement doing something that's so meaningful and worthwhile. So thank you for the opportunity and for the recognition. It's just, again, overwhelming. Thank you. Do you need to take this?
So, councilors, I would entertain a motion to officially approve Order 191. This is the resolution celebrating our Senior of the Year, Claire Lundberg, and all of the things that this just touches on. Of course, there's so much more depth to Claire and your story and everything that you do in our community, and we're grateful. I entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That passes 8-0. Congratulations again, Claire, and thank you. Councilors, I would entertain a motion to take a 5-minute recess if people would like to have a chance to congratulate Claire. And then also, Claire, you're welcome to stay with us, but if you'd like to leave, you can take a recess and you're welcome to step out whenever you'd like.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. We'll take a 5-minute recess and be back at quarter up.
Ava Rose.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's a great game.
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Congratulations again to our Senior of the Year, Claire. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, counselors. So we'll jump back into our agenda now, and we have no public hearings this evening. So we'll move down to acceptance of minutes of previous meetings. We have 6 sets of minutes that we can approve this evening. One set is from our Finance and Property Subcommittee meeting on June 6, 2023. Another from Finance and Property Subcommittee meeting June 8th, 2023. Another from Finance and Property Subcommittee June 12th, 2023. This was during the budget season. Regular City Council meeting minutes from June 20th, 2023. Special City Council meeting minutes from June 22nd, 2023. And a Special City Council meeting from June 26th, 2023.
President?
Yes.
If I may, I was absent for the last 2. If we could vote separately, so I shouldn't really vote on the 2 that I was absent for at the bottom, the 22nd to the 26th.
Sure, we can take them as separate votes. All right, so is there a motion to approve the first one, Finance and Property Subcommittee meeting June 6th?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, that carries 8-0. Is there a motion to approve the second, Finance and Property Committee June 8th, 2023?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, carries 8-0. Is there a motion to approve the Finance and Property meeting minutes from June 12th, 2023?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
That carries 8-0. Is there a motion to approve the regular city council minutes from June 20th, 2023?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, that carries 8-0. Motion to approve the special meeting of the city council June 22nd, 2023?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, that carries 7-0. Is there a motion to approve the special meeting of the city council June 26th, 2023?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, that carries 7-0. And thanks. Sorry, did I miscount?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Teamwork.
Right.
Okay, thank you, that was good teamwork, thank you.
Fun down here.
Thank
Yes.
you. And thanks to our Assistant City Clerk, Ms. Dixon, for excellent minutes, as always. Ms. Kent, let's go to communications from His Honor the Mayor, please.
Order number 186, Dear Honorable City Council, I hereby reappoint, subject to review and recommendation, Ms. Christine Bertoni, 62 Hart Street, Beverly, to serve on the Conservation Commission. Her term is to be effective until June 30th, 2026. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Thank you. Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order number 205. Dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly has received a $2,500 donation from the Beverly Rotary Club. The donation is to fund the purchase of Beverly Police Department officers' equipment. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both city and mayor approval before any grant, earmark, donation, or gift to the city can be extended for their prescribed purpose. I therefore request the City Council approve this donation by acting on this at your upcoming meeting. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 206, Dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly was awarded a Mass Department of Mental Health Jail Arrest Diversion Program grant for fiscal year 2024 to continue funding 2 co-responder clinics to support the Beverly Police Department's Community Impact Unit. The grant is for $200,000 for a 1-year period. Specifically, the grant funding will be used to fund the co-responder clinician positions that assist police staff on calls for individuals who need mental health and/or substance use support. The Jail Arrest Diversion Program is a regional collaborative effort between the Beverly, Essex, Gloucester, Ipswich, Manchester, and Rockport Police Department. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council and Mayor approval before any grant, donation, earmark, or gift to the city can be expended for their purpose. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Thank you. Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property. And I was remiss in not recognizing at the opening of the meeting that our City Grants Director, Catherine Barrett, is here with us this evening. Thank you, Ms. Barrett. We'll have the chance to hear more from Ms. Barrett in our Finance and Property meeting.
Order number 207, Dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly has received a $2,500 donation from the Beverly Rotary Club. The donation is to fund the purchase of a defibrillator for the fire department. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council and Mayor approval before any grant, earmark, donation, or gift to the city can be extended for their prescribed purpose. I therefore request the City Council approve this donation. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property as well.
Order number 208, dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly has been awarded a $7,500 grant from Senior Care. This Title IIIB funding will support the Council on Aging's outreach program. The Senior Center's outreach program staff members make contact with seniors, especially those identified as having the greatest economic and social need, through a comprehensive program of client-finding information, referral, wellness, education, and advocacy. Staff assist Beverly's older adults with fuel assistance and SNAP applications, as well with other social services as requested. Also, staff visit senior housing units to provide residents with important information about services available through the senior center. Home visits are also made when an elder is homebound and in need of services. Title IIIB funding through Senior Care, Inc. allows the staff to perform outreach to an additional 500 new clients not previously engaged in services with the Beverly Council on Aging. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council and Mayor approval before any grant, earmark, donation, or gift to the city can be expended. I therefore request the City Council approve this grant. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Thank you. Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 209, dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly has been awarded a $20,027 telecommunicator emergency response task force program grant from the ELPSS State 911 Department. This grant funding will be used to provide training our law enforcement and dispatch operations to support mutual aid deployments in cases of natural disasters, coverage for line of duty deaths, staffing due to widespread illness, and staff relief after major events. The MAST TERT is a part of the Communication Unit Program and is overseen by the statewide SWIC and in partnership with the Mass State 911 Department. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council and Mayor approval before any grant, earmark, donation, or gift to the city can be extended for this purpose. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 210. Dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly has been awarded a $1 million earmark from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development to support the main library HVAC system replacement and weatherization. This funding was made possible by Congress approving grant funding for the Economic Development Initiative specified for community project funding, congressionally directed spending. I want to extend my sincere thanks to the U.S. Congressman Seth Moulton for his efforts to secure this critical funding for the project. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council and Mayor approval before any grant, earmark, donation, or gift to the city can be extended for their prescribed purpose. I therefore request the City Council approve this request. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Thank you. Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 211, dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly has been awarded a $100,000 earmark from the Mass Marketing Partnership within the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development to support HVAC improvements and weatherization for the public library. The earmark funding is approved in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts budget as follows. 7008-116 provided further than not less than $100,000 shall be expended by the City of Beverly for greenhouse gas reduction projects. I'd like to thank Senator Joan Lovely and Representative Jerry Paracella for this advocacy and support to obtain this critical funding for much-needed capital improvements at the main branch of the public library. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council and Mayor approval before any grant, earmark, donation, or gift to the city can be expended for their prescribed purpose. I therefore request the City Council approve this earmark by acting on this matter. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Thank you. Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 212. Dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly has been awarded an earmark in the amount of $200,000 from the Mass Marketing Partnership with the Executive Office of Labor and Workforce Development. This earmark funding will be used for HVAC improvements and weatherization for the Beverly Public Library. The earmark funding is approved in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts budget as follows. Number 7008-116 provided further that not less than $200,000 shall be expended by the City of Beverly for facility upgrades and improvements to the Beverly Public Library. I'd like to thank Senator Joan Lovely and Representative Jerry Paracella for their advocacy and support to obtain this critical funding for much-needed capital improvement at the main branch of the Beverly Public Library. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council and Mayor approval before any grant, earmark, donation, or gift to the city can be expended for their prescribed purpose. I I therefore request the City Council approve this earmark. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Thank you. Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 213, dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly Emergency Management Task Force has been awarded a $1,314,456 National Urban Search and Rescue Response System grant from the United States Department of Homeland Security and the Federal Emergency Management Agency. This grant funding will be used to support continued development, operations, and maintenance of the National Urban Search and Rescue capabilities at the Mass Task Force 1 site in Beverly. The National Urban Search and Rescue Response System provides funding for 28 national task force staffed and equipped to assist state and local government conduct around-the-clock search and rescue operations following a presidentially declared major disaster emergency under the Stafford Act, earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, hurricanes, fires, etc. When deployed, these task forces support state and local emergency responders' effort to locate survivors and manage recovery operations. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council Mayor approval before any grant, earmark, donation, or gift to the city can be expended for their prescribed purpose. I therefore request the City Council approve this grant by acting on it at your upcoming meeting. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Thank you. Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 214, dear Honorable City Council, I am pleased to inform you that the City of Beverly has been awarded a $295,290 grant from the Federal Aviation Administration Aeronautics for completion of an aeronautical study and obstruction analyst of runways 16-34 and 9-27 for the Beverly Regional Airport. The match funding for this grant will require 5% city contribution in the amount of $16,405. This amount will be covered by the existing airport operating budget and will not require any additional action by the City Council. The state is also providing $16,405 match to meet the total 10% match requirement. In addition, this is a 4-year grant, so it requires City Council approval. Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A requires both City Council and Mayor approval before any grant, earmark, donation, or gift to the city can be expended for their prescribed purpose. I therefore request the City Council approve this grant. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
I feel like everybody in this room is going to hear in their dreams tonight you saying Mass General Law, Chapter 44.
I want to say repeat after me. Everybody gets to
Say it with me. Thank you. Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 215, dear Honorable City Council, attached is a letter from purchasing agent Dave Gellinall requesting authorization to enter into a contract with the YMCA of the North Shore to provide after-school childcare. The agreement is for 1-year contract with 4 one-year extensions to the contract. I respectfully ask the City Council to consider this request at your upcoming meeting on August 21st. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Thank you. Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order number 216, dear Honorable City Council, I hereby appoint, subject to your review and recommendation, Mr. Christopher Kloutman of 7 Deer Haven Road, Beverly, to serve on the Conservation Commission. His term is to be effective until June 20th, 2026. Sincerely yours, Mike P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order number 217, dear Honorable City Council, I hereby appoint, subject to your review and recommendation, Mr. Michael Barone Jr., 28 Taft Ave, Beverly, to serve as an alternate on the Zoning Board of Appeals. His term is to be effective until August 1st, 2025. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs as well.
Order number 218, dear Honorable City Council, I am hereby appoint, subject to review and recommendation, Kelly Shea Rivera, 12 Conway Street, Beverly, to serve on the Zoning Board of Appeals. Her term is to be effective until January 31st, 2026. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Thank you. Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order number 219, dear Honorable City Council, I hereby appoint, subject to review and recommendation, Mr. James Billings, 22 Winthrop Ave, Beverly, to serve on the Commission on Disabilities. His term is to be effective until November 1st, 2025. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services.
Order number 220, dear Honorable City Council, I hereby appoint, subject to your review and recommendation, Mr. Nicholas Perinos, 19 Puritan Road, Beverly, to serve on the Veterans Advisory Committee. His term is to be effective until March 1st, 2026. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services as well.
Order number 221, Dear Honorable City Council, I hereby reappoint, subject to your review and recommendation, the following residents to serve on the Open Space and Recreation Committee. Todd Callahan, Gregory Sharp, Charlie Mann. These terms are to be effective from August 31st, 2023 until August 31st, 2026. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Is there a cricket in there? Order 222. Dear Honorable City Council, I hereby reappoint, subject to review and recommendation, Ms. Karen Bloodgood, 116 Lothrop Street, Beverly, to serve on the Commission on Disabilities. Her term is to be effective until November 1st, 2025. Sincerely yours, Michael P. Cahill, Mayor.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services. All right. Well, thank you for all that reading, Ms. Kent.
You're welcome.
Take a breath. Let's go to communications from other city officers and boards.
Order number, I think I got ahead of myself here.
It's right there. It's at the very bottom, the other page, I think so.
Oh, I got it. Thank you. Order number 192 from the city clerk, a request for approval to hold in-person early voting at City Hall for the 2023 municipal elections.
Councilors, we can approve this on the floor if there's a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion or questions on this one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 6-0. 7-0. Just counted as still 2 times.
Order number 193 from the city clerk, a request approval for the election warrant for the September 26, 2023 preliminary municipal election.
Similarly, councilors, we can approve this on the floor if there's a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or questions on Order 193? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That also carries 7-0.
Order number 194 from Councilor Feldman, a reappointment for David Alden St. Pierre to represent Ward 5 on the Open Space Recreation Committee.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Let's get myself together here. Order number 195 from Councilor Crowley, a reappointment for Allison Dudley to represent Ward 3 on the Open Space and Recreation Committee.
Please refer that to Legal Affairs as well.
Order number 196, Councilor Rotundo and Councilor Crowley, a request to amend the downtown Beverly Parking District Ordinance, Section 270, 66B1, and Section 270-66B2B, to waive all parking fees for on-street parking lot kiosks for our city veterans.
Thank you. Councilors Rotundo and Crowley, before this is referred to Legal Affairs, is there anything either of you would like to comment or say about your work?
It's an honor doing this for our veterans. When it came through to us, it was a no-brainer. Anything that we can and do, and to give, an additional opportunity for veterans or some sort of a service to help us out. Myself, being a fellow veteran, I think this is great. So thank you, Mr. Rotundo, for working with us and the city.
Thank you, Councilor Crowley.
Mr. Exception, thank you for your service to the city and to country. Thank you.
Thank you, councilors. Yeah, I know if you're watching on BevCam, you may not be able to see our audience, but there are several members of our local veterans community here. Thank you all for being here, and I will echo the thanks for your service, and Councilor Crowley, you as well. Let's refer 96 to the Subcommittee on Legal Affairs. Ms. Kent.
Order number 197 from Councilor Rotundo, a proposed amendment to the city's ordinance, Chapter 270-41, prohibiting parking at all times on both Green Street to Livingston Ave.
Councilor Rotundo, this is also your proposed ordinance change. Any comments on this one before it's referred?
Yes, just this, this is in direct response from neighbors with concerns of parking on the crest of the hill. So obviously, I'm hoping for the proposal to be accepted and approved.
Thank you very much, Councilor. Please refer Order 197 to the Subcommittee on Legal Affairs as well.
Order number 198 from Finance Director Brian Ailes, a request for approval to use FY 2024 funds towards the payment of 5 prior year invoices totaling $13,791.63.
Please refer that to the Committee on Finance and Property.
Order number 199, Gabriel Hannafin, from the airport manager, a transfer request of 4 leases from Baker Aviation Management LLC to Multi-Wing Aviation LLC.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs. Let's go to communications, applications, and petitions, please, Ms. Kent.
Order number 187 from National Grid, petition 307-06279, Federal Street to install electric conduits.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services to set a public hearing.
Order number 188 from National Grid, petition 299-20267, Lovett Street to install electric conduits.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services to set a public hearing as well.
Order number 189, National Grid, petition 307-08798, Cherry Hill Drive to install electric conduits.
Please refer that to the Committee on Public Services to set a public hearing.
Order number 190 from Attorney Patricia Lossier, a petition to discharge a municipal mortgage of Victor E. and Dorothy M. Thomas.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order number 200 from Harbor Suites, an application for a permit to maintain a sandwich board sign.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs as well.
Order number 201 from Old Planters Brewing Company, a request to waive the city's ordinance, Chapter 113-2, prohibiting possession or consumption of alcohol on a public way or in public spaces for Beverly Grand Prix at Dane Street Park.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order number 202 from Coastal Mass Brewing Company, a request to waive the city ordinance, Chapter 113-2, prohibiting possession or consumption of alcohol in a public way or in public spaces for Beverly Grand Prix at Dane Street Park.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs also.
Order number 203 from Gentile Brewing Company, a request to waive the city ordinance, Chapter 113-2, prohibiting possession or consumption of alcohol in a public way or in a public space for the Beverly Grand Prix at Dane Street Park.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs.
Order number 204 from Gentile Brewing Company, a request to waive the city ordinance, Chapter 113-2, prohibiting possession or consumption of alcohol on a public way or public services for Rileside Day at Livingstone Park.
Please refer that to the Committee on Legal Affairs. That brings us to unfinished business from a previous meeting. Counselor Bowen, this is your order. Am I right in assuming you'd like to keep this here through at least our September 5th meeting when we'll have that public hearing?
Yes, looking forward to that public hearing on September 5th.
Okay, thank you. And for those who are following along, that public hearing we're referring to is on accessory dwelling units. Order 282 from 2022 is a letter from Counselor Bowen regarding that topic, and we'll have a chance for a joint public hearing with the planning board that evening in our meeting. Let's go to motions and orders, please, Ms. Kent.
Order number 177, be it obtained by the City Council of the City of Beverly as follows. In the year 2023, an ordinance amending an ordinance relative to Chapter 270, Vehicles and Traffic, Section 270-49, Off-Street Parking, Handicap Parking, amended Section 270-49 as follows. Add a handicap parking sign and space at 12.5 Bow Street. And this was in the newspaper back in June, and this is final passage tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Kent. So, councilors, this is a proposed ordinance change. This one, as Ms. Kent just said, is available for final passage this evening because it's already appeared for a first reading and a first vote. Is there a motion to approve Order 177 for final passage?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 8-0.
Order number 182, regarding deliveries, no store or place of business shall accept delivery or any item for sale between the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. This section shall not apply to the sale of foods or alcoholic beverages to be consumed on the premises at which they are sold or to be consumed off the premises at which they are sold when such sale is being licensed, primary engaged in the sale of food to be consumed on such premises. Violators of this section shall be subject to a fine of $50 for each violation. For purpose of the section, each separate delivery shall be deemed a separate offense. In the event of delivery in several items or articles at one time by one delivery, only one delivery shall be deemed to have taken place. Amended ordinance shall take place after publication and final passage, and this was in the newspaper on 8/21, and this is the first vote.
Thank you, Ms. Kent. So this is a proposed ordinance change submitted by Councilor Feldman, and as Ms. Kent just said, this is for its first reading and first vote, so it's not available for final passage this evening. Is there a motion to approve for first vote, Order 182?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion or questions? Councilor Houseman?
Yes. Do we have any background on why this is being proposed, and has there been discussion about it prior to the first reading? If there has, I haven't been present for it. If someone could explain a little bit about this order.
I'm looking down here at folks on legal affairs, so Councilor Rotundo, I see you nodding.
Mayor, through you.
Please.
At Legal Affairs, this is more in response to Shaw's Market especially. There was issues with deliveries being done affecting the Beverly Common residents. So that's specifically where it was looked to. It was proposed when you were absent, unfortunately. There was discussion in regards to what Councilor Feldman was trying to accomplish with the ordinance. I had some concerns being a restaurant owner and knowing other restaurant owners if it would affect them directly. It will not affect them the way it's written, specifically to that with the on consumption of alcohol and food, but really was in direct response to some disturbances at the Shaw's Plaza with the Shaw's Supermarket in Beverly Commons.
So this would affect all stores like Staples or any store in any plaza in the city. It's targeted sort of at that particular issue, but would have an effect throughout the city. Does anyone know whether or not, has anyone sort of looked at what other kind of stores might be sort of inadvertently affected adversely by this? Was that discussed in legal?
I believe Councilor Feldman was supposed to be having conversations with the other stores. And again, you're talking to corporate, so I don't know what the luck, I can't speak to where she was at with the conversation. I know she had intent of doing it, that was discussed at one point.
And I assume this is,
I was going to
I'm
say, Councilor St. Hilaire, you were trying to get in here.
I'm sorry.
Well, I just wanted to add, I see Mr. Dole with us tonight, and I'm just curious if, I don't think we've heard from the solicitor's office whether this is something that was worked on together, or if they've had a chance to review this and what they think of it.
Thank you, Councilor. Thank you, Mr. Dole, one of our Assistant City Solicitors here with us this evening.
Good, excuse me, good evening, Jesse Dole from the Solicitor's Office. My understanding is Assistant City Solicitor Beth Old Nixon did work with Council Rotundo in the crafting of this proposed ordinance. But beyond that, I'm not aware of any analysis as to the effect on any businesses, whether they be grocery stores, restaurants, convenience stores, plumbing supply stores. I mean, that, you know, I can tell you my reading of it is any business that accepts a delivery of some sort of inventory or stock of any kind between those hours would be subject to this. So my reading is if a restaurant receives a delivery of food prior to 6 a.m., they would be subject to it. If Moynihan Lumber receives a delivery prior to 6 a.m., they would be subject to it. Shaw's also. I mean, that's just the way I read it and how I see its applicability.
Councilor Rotundo.
Honestly, I don't have really a response in regards to an exception of what was discussed in legal affairs and what Councilor Feldman's intent was. Specifically, I don't think it mattered if it was a retail store or not, but I think it was more specifically to, she was getting complaints with the Shaw's trucks coming in and out. Now Staples is there, but whether they're an issue, I'm not sure, but again, it wouldn't make a difference if it was Moynihan Lumber in that area. It's the fact of delivery trucks coming in that area affecting the Beverly Crossing, the Commons rather, so that was her response, was at least to get the conversation with Shaw's to hopefully that they would preempt even they would rectify the problem themselves, but this would allow for at least have some validity to the argument.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor St. Hilaire.
So I guess just in follow-up, there's language in here that seems to accept certain businesses that relate to the sale of food and alcoholic beverages that are consumed on premises. What is that getting at?
I would read that if Dunkin' Donuts opens at 5 a.m. and sells coffee and donuts, that is the delivery, the sale of food or alcoholic beverages to be consumed on premises or off premises. So if you're
any restaurant.
Yeah. So if there's a restaurant that's open after 11 p.m. that is serving food or alcohol, they would not be subject to this. Dunkin' Donuts selling.
I don't see any here where it says just during those hours.
This section shall not apply to the sale of food or alcoholic beverages to be consumed on premises.
Doesn't say which hours.
This section, so this section prohibits, and I didn't draft this, but the way it is drafted, that no business can accept delivery of any item. So this would not apply if a business accepted delivery of a pizza between the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. And my reading of this is that any sort of business that received a delivery outside of food between those hours, food to be consumed, but we rephrase that, delivery from a business that has a common victualler license. So pizza, sub shop, things like that. A business could accept a delivery from that sort of business. But as far as any sort of, between the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m., it would be any sort of inventory, stock, produce. So food being delivered to Shaw's to be put on a shelf, lumber to be delivered to Moynihan to be put in one of the barns. That sort of business receiving delivery of items that they intend to sell.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Sweeney, I saw your hand.
Thank you, Madam President. I think Mr. Dole just clarified, and I wanted to make sure that was clear, that my reading of the proposed ordinance is a coffee shop or a restaurant could receive deliveries outside of the allowable hours.
They could receive deliveries of food from someone who has a license as a common victualler. So a business could receive delivery of food that is being sold by, like prepared food. So a restaurant can't receive ingredients, for lack of a better term, between the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m.
Okay, that was essentially the question that I wanted to make sure I
I mean,
understood.
it could be
So
it could be, obviously, it could be amended that this section shall not apply to the sale of food to be consumed on premises or off premises. But that clearly says it's a delivery of food that you're going to consume. It's a delivery of food. It's not delivery of inventory,
Okay.
stock.
That would be my concern with passing this, if that is the interpretation of the solicitor's office, and I think this may have been what Councilor St. Hilaire was getting at, is that we would be harming the coffee shop that opens up at 5 a.m. and has their employees there earlier that needs to.
Oh, they could sell, Dunkin' Donuts could open at 5 and sell coffee and donuts. They could. They just couldn't, a truck couldn't show up from Dunkin' Donuts corporate before 6 a.m.
Okay.
and offload donuts, bagels, dry coffee.
And I know Councilor Feldman isn't here, and maybe I don't know what the timeline of this is, maybe we hold the first vote till our next meeting. I would like to hear, for those businesses that operate, doors open at 6 a.m. or earlier, how would this impact them?
Agreed. I'm going to go to Counselor Rotundo because I saw his hand, and then Counselor Sweeney, I think there's good wisdom there. It would still need a first vote. It just pushes it back by one meeting, but I think without Counselor Feldman, it seems worth our being able to have the discussion. Counselor Rotundo.
Just from being a restaurant owner perspective, is if I have a truck coming in for delivery at 11:05, I'm not in compliance. But if I'm delivering a pizza or someone's coming in and consuming it, it's okay. So it wouldn't affect me to consume, that's how I'm understanding this, is that correct?
That's
So,
yeah.
as a retail, so to the customer, from me to a customer, it's okay to provide food. The delivery of food, I guess, is how it's being read and understood, or not being understood. But whereas if I want Cisco to come in and make a delivery at 5 a.m. in the morning and do a key drop, and my neighbor calls to complain that I'm not in compliance because I've broken that ordinance by coming before 6 a.m. So that's sort of how I'm interpreting the.
Yes, that's my
ordinance of what-
interpretation of it.
And that was the intent of Councilor Feldman as well, was not so much to hurt someone. That's why I had asked, as a restaurant owner, how is it going to affect me if I want a customer in at 12 o'clock at night, whatever the case may be, would it affect them? And it wouldn't. It was really an effect that if I wanted Cisco to come in at 5 a.m. because I didn't want them to interrupt my business, but I didn't care about my neighbor because the beeping of the truck or whatever the case, or the banging, that was what would be enforced here. And that was in response to Shaw's or any of the stores in Plaza, was directly to Beverly Common residents that were being affected by those types of deliveries at 5, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor Rotundo. And through you, Madam President, just to make a quick comment on that. As I don't operate a restaurant, so I wouldn't know, unlike you, Councilor Rotundo, you would know well whether or not that would be an impediment to not have the ability to receive a delivery outside of those hours, depending on what your hours of operation are. That's my only concern, but that might not even be a concern.
It's
And
a
so-
I mean, it's obviously, as a business owner down there, and I do have neighbors, it's really being mindful of my neighbors to not agitate them. You don't want to be woken up with the beeping of the noise and the trash truck coming, or delivery coming and backing into the driveway. And that was really what the response was in response to Council Feldman.
Counselor Rand.
Thank you. I just wanted to add, without Counselor Feldman here, I'm not going to be as succinct or passionate about her choice here of ordinance change, but we have similar ordinances about dumpsters, and I believe one of her goals, if I'm remembering correctly, was to sort of put in line the noise ordinance of dumpsters and that kind of activity to the delivery activities. So the dumpster ordinance is, a dumpster is not to be filled, I think, or emptied, or hours of filling, I guess, includes emptying the dumpster between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. And then I actually thought we had other delivery ordinances, but I'm not pulling them up quickly. Just to offer that part of her goal was to put things in line with other ordinances that control noise.
Thank you. That's very helpful, Counselor Rand.
Madam President, it may seem trivial, I don't know if it's important to anyone on the council, but this proposed ordinance would reside within the chapter that is entitled Peace and Good Order. So it's not in the chapter that deals with the dumpsters under that noise-ish kind of section of the ordinances. It falls into things such as playing in the street, open-air fires, profanity, loitering, parking on the sidewalk, things like that. So it's not, I would hesitate to call it a noise ordinance because it resides under peace and good order rather than anything that has to deal with because the noise ordinance really deals with decibel levels and noise-making equipment and things like that, so.
Thank you, Mr. Dole. Counselor Houseman.
Yeah, just a question through you to Solicitor Dole. Did this proposed ordinance get reviewed before it was submitted through the solicitor's office and sort of vetted for its impact?
Well, so
If you know.
I think we've had this conversation before. We will help marshal through and help with the drafting and help with an ordinance that is drafted effectively, dealing with who is going to enforce it, where is it going to reside within the ordinances, is it going to conflict with other ordinances, be redundant towards other ordinances, does it violate some sort of state MGL or CMR? Beyond that, if it's a constituent services issue, I would never suppose to know what is best for my constituents, either citywide or within a ward. So to the extent of I can tell you who it applies to, who it doesn't apply to, give you some examples about businesses around town that would be affected by it. But, that's about what I can tell you about the ordinance. I could tell you, who it would apply to, and such as a grocery store, any business that is seeking to have a delivery within those hours in order to stock shelves, warehouses, get ready to prepare food, et cetera. I mean, that's who it's going to affect. So whether it's a tractor trailer, whether it's a box van, whether it's, a flatbed, I mean, those are the deliveries that I see that this, as Councilor Feldman asked that it be drafted and that it was voted out of legal affairs, that's the impact of it.
Counselor Houseman.
Yeah, I as a ward councilor, I'm very supportive and sympathetic to what Councilor Feldman is trying to do with Shaw's. I think it's entirely appropriate. And as Councilor Rand suggested, it sounds like the intention here is to try to make the hours here sort of consistent with other provisions in our city ordinances, regardless of what section it falls in. But it's not clear to me that it's been entirely vetted for the potential of unintended consequences. Certainly through the eyes of a restaurant owner, it certainly seems like it has been worked through and sounds acceptable to Councilor Rotundo from that viewpoint. I guess I'd feel more comfortable if we waited until Councilor Feldman was here and we had an opportunity to talk more with her about what work she has done. Mindful of that, though, I was not here so it's already moved forward through the council. So if councilors feel like it's not necessary to do that, I'd listen to that.
Thank you, Councilor
And
Houseman.
Madam President, as far as unintended consequences, I don't know how to answer that. I can tell you what the consequences are, is that any business that has any kind of delivery between 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. is going to could potentially be fined $50 for every truck or van or flatbed that pulls up. And that is to be as drafted in the absence of a enforcing authority. Any of our ordinances, in the absence of a particular department having some sort of statutory enforcement power, such as the Board of Health over the sanitary code, municipal inspections over the building, plumbing, electrical code, this would be enforced by the police. So the consequences would be if a neighbor saw a truck being delivered, regardless of any noise that it produced. It doesn't need to be banging doors, dropping pallets, honking the horn. The truck pulls up, stuff is unloaded in the truck into the business, they could call the police and police could show up and write a ticket. And that's citywide.
Counselor Houseman.
Yeah, I guess that's sort of my concern, is I haven't had a chance to sort of think of the negative, to prove the negative, if you will, of the sorts of situations that are being described here. I'm just concerned that it might draw too broad a net around trying to solve a specific issue, because at least the intention, and on the face of it, it sounds totally reasonable, but I would be more comfortable if I knew we had a little bit more information around what unintended consequences might be, or a chance to sort of think through the issue of what other kind of businesses might be adversely affected.
Counselor Bowen.
Thank you. Really appreciate the conversation, because I had some similar questions when it was first introduced, just around sort of the breadth of its application and what goals a business owner might have in scheduling deliveries, for example, at a time when they wouldn't clog up city streets that would otherwise be full of traffic. Just sort of thinking through when this might be a positive thing and how to not impact neighbors, with noise being the primary, if not only, sort of drawback. And so since we do have noise ordinances, is there another way to handle this situation, or is there another way to just tweak this particular language to really focus in on that harm to neighbors, and not paint too broad a brush? That said, I think protecting residential neighborhoods from commercial noise between the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. is generally a positive goal, so want to make sure that we're respectful of that. So I would be in favor of a little more digging and a little more discussion before moving this particular one forward, but keeping those competing goals in mind.
Thank you. I think all things being considered, and with respect also for Councillor Feldman, who's not here and able to be part of the discussion. I know we began the discussion. I agree that I can see the wisdom in our having some time to discuss it further with Councillor Feldman before we take the first vote on this one. There is a motion and a second on the floor. The person who made the motion originally could withdraw the motion.
I would like to rescind my motion.
Thank you. All right. So 182 will be taken up for its first reading and first vote at our 9/5 meeting. Thank you, councilors, for the discussion. Thank you, Mr. Dole, for your help with that. I do want to just take a moment to recognize that Mayor Cahill has just joined us. Thank you, Mayor, for being with us. And also, I apologize, I was remiss in not also thanking our airport manager, Gabriel Hannafin, for being here with us. Thank you, Mr. Hannafin. I think that brings us to time to take a break for some committee work. I would entertain a motion to take a break now for some committee work.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 8-0. We'll have legal affairs stay here in chambers, finance and property in the committee room, public services on the bench. And just a reminder, if any committee has so much work that it would warrant another meeting, don't hesitate to schedule that. Take a break.
Yeah. Okay, call to order the Legal Affairs Committee. We'll take up order number 194, which is a reappointment for David Alden St. Pierre to represent Ward 5 on the Open Space and Recreation Committee. And, is that okay? Reappointment? Okay, yeah, I can do that, right? From Kathleen? Yeah.
It's from council, yep.
And Mr. Alden St. Pierre is not here, correct? Okay, good. Any questions from committee members? I would accept a motion to approve this reappointment.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor? Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Order number 195 is a reappointment for Allison Dudley to represent Ward 3 on the Open Space and Recreation Committee. Allison is also not here. Thank you to both of these reappointments for wanting to continue serving on Open Space and Recreation Committee. I would accept a motion from committee members.
So moved.
Second.
And that's a motion to reappoint Allison Dudley. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Is that one? Okay. Order number 190. And this is a petition to discharge a municipal mortgage of Victor E. and Dorothy M. Thompson. And Mr. Dole, are you able to just sort of give us an overview on your work with this?
Good evening, Jesse Dole from the Solicitor's Office again. I think it's probably the best description of why this is before the council tonight is Ms. Wynn's letter that is on page 2 of the proposed order. It is an older mortgage from one of the multiple different programs the city maintained over the years, and according to Ms. Wynn's department and my review of the Registry of Deeds, there's no note, so we don't know what the terms of the mortgage are. Some of these programs are, if you meet the duration, the term of the mortgage. Some of these mortgage programs, the balance is waived. Some of them, it's repayable upon completion, upon sale if you meet that term. Some of the other ones only had a repayment clause if you did not meet the term of the mortgage. So, in the absence of any documentation of the details of what that mortgage was, and if I can look at this again, I think it was 31 years ago. So close, more than 31 years ago. So we don't know if that $15,000 amount had some sort of triggering event that it would be repayable to the city or not. So, under the circumstances, which is suggested that the current owners come before the council to request that the council authorize the city to execute a discharge in the mortgage. Usually, this is just done, without having to come before the council because we have a note, we have a mortgage. We find out that the term is up. We just record. The mayor executes the discharge. The mortgage is no longer in effect, and we record it. But under the circumstances here, we just suggested it probably be a more appropriate route to come before the council. Give the mayor authority to execute that release.
Thank you for that description. Questions from committee members? Council Rotundo.
More just a statement, just because of the time frame of it being over 30 years, it has to be assumed that the note's paid off. Assumption that it was a 30-year mortgage, even if we don't have a clear record of it.
Mr. Dole?
Sorry. Is it
That
the
was a
assumption,
question
is it
for
the
you.
assumption of
Yeah.
Ms. Wynn that, or the legal department that, just due to the fact that it's over 30 years, that they assume that it would have been possibly at maximum 30-year note that would have been paid?
I can't, given the variety of programs, like I said, some of them were just upon sale of the property, it would be repayable. Whether that was in 5 years, 15 years, 30 years. Some of the programs that if you maintained sometimes it was done for rental units. So if you maintained a certain amount of affordability for a certain number of years, it'd be waived. If you sold before that was up, you had to repay it. I mean, there's a lot of different programs, whether they are funded through the state, whether they are funded through HUD. I think the city even had some grant money they got, and the city came up with their own kind of mortgages. So they're really all over the page. So I can't, and I don't like making assumptions. I'll make a presumption, but I won't make an assumption. You know, it just, you know, if legal affairs and the council as a whole feels it is equitable and, you know, if you want to assume that whatever purpose of the note has been satisfied 31 years later, you know, there's no, and I say this because certain HUD programs, we can't. HUD will come back after us and ask us the city to reimburse HUD for these programs. I think in Ms. Wynn's letter pointed out this isn't one of those programs where the city's at risk of exposure of having to pay something back. So it would be entirely up to the council. There'd be no legal you know, prohibition or risk that we at least know of, and Ms. Wynn would, at least from what Ms. Wynn's told our department about the programs that were commonly administered through the planning department at that time. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Sweeney?
Thank you, Madam Chair. That makes sense to me, and I don't really see any alternative action in this situation. So to me, the recommendation makes sense, and I appreciate Assistant Solicitor Dole walking through the difference between this mortgage versus those that would have been authorized through HUD. So all my concerns have been answered.
And I could tell you if I had to go into court and maintain that this was that there was some sort of payback, the court would say, well, where's the note? So I don't know where we'd even begin to, begin to defend not discharging it in the absence of anything for me to rely on that, that we had a good reason not to.
Thank you. Any other questions from committee members? I would accept a motion to submit the accompanying petition and recommend its adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Okay, I do, yeah, all right. Let's see if we can get through a little bit more of this. Okay, order number 200, an application for a sandwich board sign for Harbor Suites. And I believe, sorry, I'm already forgetting your name. Rob? You said? Okay. Okay, excellent. So we have somebody representing the sign here today in the business. Any questions from committee members? A warm welcome to Harbor Suites, to Ward 2.
Just
Councilor Rotundo.
more of a question in regards to our sandwich board ordinances and placement of it. I know right now we're sort of operating under the COVID rules, but we're not still operating. So does this sandwich board?
It would be policed by the building department.
Right. So
They spoke with them.
right. So we don't need. Has this come through the DRB? Design
Yes.
review and all that? Okay. That's all. I just had more procedural questions. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Yep, I see the site of the sign. Did you have questions, Counselor Sweeney?
I didn't have a question, Madam Chair, but just a comment, given that we have the sign manufacturer here. It seems as though the design review board put a few conditions just regarding the size of the sign primarily. And so I would assume that there's no issues with meeting the design review board's conditions that they.
Would you mind, sorry, I should have told you this before, would you mind to, I'm happy to hear your response to that, if you could go to the podium and speak into the microphone. That way people at home can hear your response as well. And you also just state your full name and your address for the record, please.
The business address, we're at 9 Rantoul Street, White Light Visual. My name is Rock Bodwin. I'm one of the principals. We produce the signage for Harbor Suites and are getting ready to install the blade sign as well as some signage in the transom windows and the side windows. And that all went through the design review board, and I understood this part had to be the sandwich board had to come before the city council, so that's why I'm here tonight. And we provided all the documents they requested, positioning and square footage and all that kind of stuff. And I think we've met all the square footage requirements.
Okay. Counselor Sweeney, did that answer your size questions?
Yes, and yeah, I appreciate the diagram. It appeared that everything was in order, but that's just the one confirmation. So to hear that, I'm comfortable
Yeah.
voting and approving this.
It's a pretty standard sandwich board piece of hardware that we pretty much use everywhere that we provide sandwich boards, so it's nothing unusual.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. I would accept a motion to recommend the application be granted.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, order number 201. This is a waiver, okay. This is a waiver of the city ordinance, chapter 113-2, prohibiting possession or consumption of alcohol on a public way or in public spaces for Old Planters Brewing Company. And we have a couple of these that are all related to the Beverly Grand Prix, and we also have the organizer of the Beverly Grand Prix here with us, Paul Boudreau. If you don't mind, Paul, we'll take these all back to back, but is there anything you would like to share with us about how the Grand Prix is going to go and how these add to the experience?
Good evening, Paul Boudreau, 8 Dartmouth Street in Beverly. I do have some handouts that you may find beneficial. Should I approach?
Sure.
All right.
Thank you. We're not judging you. Thank you very much. Is this, is the route online yet, or are we getting like VIP access to what the route is right here?
Actually, that's actually last year's course, so, but we're just tweaking it a little bit, but, so the 2 handouts I gave you, one of them is an overall of the entire venue of Dane Street, Lions Park. And if you look near the playground, there's a little green area there with there's some grass between a sand pit and the playground. The next page is actually a blow-up of that area. And what that is a diagram. It's not to scale, but what it shows is that there is a boundary that's made of snow fence for kind of 3/4 of it, and then kind of like caution tape on the side that is adjacent to the course. And what that does, that's our barrier between non-alcoholic and everywhere else. Within that barrier, there's going to be 2 tents. One's a 20 by 30, and then I think the other one's a 20 by 20. And within there, they will have 3 stations for pouring, 1 for each of the brewers. And then there's like really only 1 entrance in and out, and that's where people will be carded and granted a bracelet.
Thank you.
So, yep.
Thanks for the visuals. Any questions from committee members? Councilor Rotundo.
It's not it's more of a just making sure when you read, if we are to approve it, that it's with the condition that they follow all the conditions of the alcohol board.
Okay, that's good. I like that. I guess I have a question. Have you just, I know with events like this, you learn a little bit every year. Are you making some small changes to the beer and food area, or did you pretty much get it right last year?
No, so we got it right last year. The learning curve was the first year. This is the 3rd year that we've done it. The first year we did have issue with some people straying out and that sort of thing. So we tightened that, and then the other thing we did is we make sure that we have cups that are obviously from the beer garden.
Okay.
Before, I think they were kind of generic, and so if somebody was coming from the neighborhood with a solo cup, you couldn't tell if it was that or if it was from the beer garden. So these will be distinct, so you can tell that it's from the beer garden.
That's great. And then I guess just thank you for organizing such an amazing, unique event in
Thanks.
Beverly. I'm glad to have the opportunity to say that to you right
Awesome.
now.
Thank you. I
So
appreciate
Thank
it.
you for being here.
Great.
It's such a neat thing. It's like nothing I've ever seen before, so I love to go and check it out.
Thank you.
Any other questions from committee members? All right, so order number 201, this is the order that grants Old Planters access to selling alcohol on public ways. So I would accept a motion to submit the accompanying, no, let's see. Recommend that the waiver be granted and with the conditions
Alcohol board.
from the alcohol board.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that was a little tricky. Okay, order number 202, this is a second waiver of the city ordinance, chapter 113-2, prohibiting possession or consumption of alcohol in a public way or in public spaces for Coastal Brewing Company. And this is also in relation to the Grand Prix. Any questions from committee members? Okay, I would accept a motion to recommend that the waiver be granted with the conditions applied by the alcohol board.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Thank you. Order number 203, a waiver of the city ordinance, chapter 113-2, prohibiting possession or consumption of alcohol in a public way or in public spaces for Gentilly Brewing Company. And this is also for the Grand Prix. Questions from committee members? Okay, I would accept a motion to recommend that the waiver be granted as long as it meets the conditions of the alcohol board.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you. That takes care of the Grand Prix. Thank you very much. We're looking forward to it.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. Order number 204, which is a waiver of the city ordinance, chapter 113-2, prohibiting possession or consumption of alcohol in a public way or in public spaces for Gentilly Brewing Company, and this is actually for Ryleside Day. Councilor Rotundo, did you want to speak a little bit about Ryleside Day?
Sure, briefly. Just it's an event that was created several years ago. Prior to me being a councilor, was recognition of the Livingstone Park being done over. It was a great way to celebrate an event in the fall. They do the cornhole tournament. This is an event that they've looked into adding alcohol to it. It was proposed last year. They're using, I believe, speaking to Paul Gentilly, that they plan on doing the same layout. Unfortunately, last year, because of the weather, it was canceled, so they never took advantage of it. It is truly a great event. It's just another way for the community of Ryleside and anyone in Beverly to come together and, have a little cornhole, which seems to be very popular right now with the younger kids as well. So it's a worthwhile event.
Good. It's going to be fun, and hopefully the weather cooperates this year.
Yes.
Okay, any questions, Counselor Sweeney? No? Okay, I would accept a motion to recommend the waiver be granted with the conditions of the alcohol board.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Okay. Let's see. Order number 199 is a transfer request of 4 leases from Baker Aviation Management LLC to Multi-Wing Aviation LLC. And we have, Gabriel Hannafin, thank you for being here. We have our new airport manager here with us today. Would you mind coming to the podium and just giving us a couple words on this request?
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gabriel Hannafin, Airport Manager. This is a pretty straightforward lease transfer from Baker Aviation. Jim Baker is the owner of Baker Aviation. He's been a staple out at the airport for decades and decades, and he's decided it's time to hang up his hat and step away, and so he has requested that the 4 leases that he holds, 3 hangars and 1 admin building, be transferred to Multi-Wing Aviation, which is owned by Clark Labby, who is also, Mr. Labby also already holds the lease at the airport, so he's very familiar to us. Nothing is changing about the business. The businesses, they sublease hangar space to individual aircraft owners so those individuals have a safe, secure place to keep their aircraft. On a yearly basis, these 4 leases provide a revenue to the airport of about $42,500. They're 20-year leases. Their initial term is 20 years. And then after that, the holder of the lease has the option to request an extension. They have 4 5-year extension options.
Thank you. Questions from committee members? Councilor Rotundo.
Just a comment, welcome, and
Thank
thank
you.
you for the thoroughness of that. You really did answer most of the questions, preempting with the lease terms, and as long as you're comfortable in thinking that they're worthwhile to transfer, because you have to work with them
Of
on
course.
a daily basis, so thank
Yeah,
you for.
I have no issues. I see no issues with this transfer. I think it'll be great.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilor Sweeney?
No questions. I'll just echo Councilor Rotundo. Thank you for the summary, and glad that you've settled in.
Thank you. Me too.
Thank you. I have a quick
Yeah.
question. With the transfer of these leases, how many hangars will be managed by Multi-Wing Aviation?
So total, after this, there will be 4 hangars,
Okay.
plus this building 54. So Multi-Wing already holds a lease on 1 hangar out at the airport. This will give them 3 additional hangars.
Okay.
And then that building 54, which is offices and pilot lounge area.
And then how many hangars are there at the airport? I guess I'm trying to get a sense of, proportionally, how many will be owned by the same person or leased by the same person?
Right. Let me do a quick count. We have probably 15 separate hangars, all ranging in several sizes, some that hold a lot of aircraft and some that are proportioned only to hold a couple aircraft. Yeah, I think we're right around 15 separate buildings used for housing aircraft.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions from committee members? Okay, I would accept a motion to submit the accompanying request and recommend its adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Okay, I want to do, let's see. Order number, oh no, we don't have to do 183, do we? No, that one we can just,
No.
right? That's,
We don't know if
Okay.
it's back yet or not.
yeah, okay. 196, are we 5 yet? Ish? Not yet. Okay, order number 196, a request to amend the downtown Beverly Parking District Ordinance, Section 270-66B1 and Section 270-66B2B to waive all parking fees for an on-street parking lot all parking fees for on-street parking lot kiosks for our city veterans. And this one, do we need a public hearing?
No, but the first reading will be the next meeting.
Okay, so we can vote it out.
Back to the council.
Back
and
to
it'll
the
be on the
council.
agenda if you'd like, yes.
Okay. First, I just want to say thank you, Councilor Rotundo and Councilor Crowley, and call to order Committee of the Whole for working on this. I think this is a great idea, and I'm glad that David Parent-Chief was able to kind of approach you guys and work with you on this too. Any questions from committee members? All right, anything else you want to share about this?
Just want to understand is that there was work, worked with the Solicitor's Office, worked with Mr. Parent-Chief. Obviously, we want to recognize the service for the veterans, and the Veteran Service Officer, Parent-Chief, also it's an opportunity for him to get veterans into his office and to have a relationship with them that may never have had it before, and provide them with services they may not be aware of. So it works out in many different facets of it. I did speak with the parking enforcement department as well as with the engineer to see how it would affect them. They didn't find it to be an issue. David Parent Chief and George from the parking enforcement will work with each other in regards to recognizing the plates, as well as the sticker program.
And the stickers.
The stickers for that, so.
Excellent.
A lot of it's been thought out.
That's great, thank you so much. Counselor Sweeney?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to echo your thanks for both Councilor Rotundo, Councilor Crowley, and then our Veterans Agent, Mr. Parent Chief, and others from the Veteran Advisory Committee and the Solicitor's Office that worked on this. That's a small gesture, but it's nice when we, as a council, are able to do things to honor the service of the veterans in Beverly and those veterans that come into the city. I think it'll reflect really well on Beverly and our priorities, so I am happy to support this proposal.
I agree, I think it makes us look like and feel and act like a more inclusive community, so thank you. I would accept a motion to submit the accompanying amended ordinance and recommend its adoption pending publication and final passage.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. 3-0, okay. Okay, order number 197, a proposed amendment to the city ordinance, chapter 270-41, prohibited parking at all times on both Green Street to Livingston Ave. And this is another parking ordinance submitted by Councilor Rotundo, and I'm really glad to see this already went through Parking and Traffic, and they recommend this change. Any other comments on this?
Just, it's both sides, it's specifically to Woodland Ave, both sides of Woodland Ave, and it goes from Green Street to Livingstone, and it's really in response to the neighbors with the safety issues of the crest of the street, the way it goes up and comes down. If there's cars there, it forces them out. The new crosswalk that was installed, and this is all in direct response to the closing of Hall-Whitaker. These are the mitigation efforts that have been taken. It's sort of a whack-a-mole type deal. As something comes in from the residents, brings it to my attention, we bring it out and make sure and vet it out to see how it is. It's not a perfect solution, but it really is in response to what the needs are of the residents and the safety issues, as well as getting the vehicles up there. So that's what this is really in response to.
And the reality is that the impact, it could last for a long time in terms of what's happening on these streets and
Correct.
Traffic, so.
Correct.
Questions, Counselor Sweeney?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just one question for you, Councilor Rotundo. You allude to this in your letter, but I do want to confirm, given that this proposal would, instead of just prohibiting parking on one side of the street in that segment, prohibit it on both sides, did you have the chance to talk to the residents that would be impacted? Is there any concern that they currently utilize on-street parking and they wouldn't be able to, or do they have no issue adapting to the loss of parking on street?
So, so I did. I actually pamphlet or lettered every resident, spoke to them. Originally, it was proposed to do one side. It was actually the residents that brought it to my attention. Why one? If you're talking for safety's sake, why don't we do both sides? There's ample parking. There's Livingstone Park right there. There's parking lot. Every driveway, exception of one who does use Garden Street, parks on that. It really, the residents didn't have issue. There was one truck in particular, for some reason, didn't live there, but was parking their truck there, and they were really doing it as what they felt as a favor to the neighbors by trying to slow traffic down, but in reality, they were creating a safety issue. So he was doing it with the right intent, but it was really realizing how much of an issue it was. So it was been discussed for the past year. He just kind of really brought it to our eyes to say, okay, we really now have to act upon it.
Okay. Thank you, Counselor.
Welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. I would accept a motion to submit the accompanying amended ordinance and recommend its adoption pending publication and final passage.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Okay, order number 215, a request for authorization to enter into a contract with the YMCA of the North Shore to provide after-school childcare. And we don't have anyone from the YMCA here today. So I don't know, I think if we have questions about this contract, we would want to maybe invite Mr. Gelano or our purchasing agent or someone from the YMCA. Counselor Rotundo?
I did have the opportunity to talk to Mr. Gelano. I'm comfortable with it, speaking with Dr. Chirocek as well as Mr. Gelano, and the North Shore YMCA has been providing after-school care since my daughter was doing the program. So I know there were two proposals. The first proposal that was unveiled was not actually, didn't even meet the letter of the RFP, so it was thrown out. They were the only other one that was within the RFP.
Okay.
So from my perspective, I'm comfortable with it.
Okay, thank you for that, Councilor Rotundo, and I see President Flowers has something to add.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to offer, if it's helpful to the subcommittee, I did have a chance also to talk with Dr. Churocek today. Ms. Sherburne is out of the office, which is why she's not here tonight, but Dr. Churocek confirmed, as Councilor Rotundo said, this is similar to the standard agreement that we've seen before, response to the RFP that we've seen before from the Y. And I did have a chance to ask Mr. Perry if he saw anything that was different or complicated here, and he said to his eyes, no. So if that's helpful, I want to just offer that.
Okay, thank you very much, that is helpful. Councilor Sweeney, any questions?
No questions. The only one I had was with regards to who was currently providing the service, since I don't have any children. But Council Rotundo obviously answered that, and so I see no issue with approving the proposal as it's presented to us.
Okay, thank you very much. I would accept a motion to submit the accompanying request and recommend its adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor? Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Okay. So we have,
Yeah, those
Yeah.
can't be voted, but.
oh, we can meet them. Okay, order number 217, an appointment for Michael Baroni Jr. Am I pronouncing your last name correct? Barone. Michael Barone Jr. to serve on the Zoning Board of Appeals. And first, thank you for sitting through that. I figure it's probably good practice for you going forward. But also, I just really appreciate the patience that the audience often shows and the attendees show at this meeting when we crank through a whole bunch of other agenda items. So it's nice to meet you, Mr. Barone. Would you like to share with us a little bit about your interest in the zoning board?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Clerk, members of the council. My name is Michael Barone. I'm a resident of Beverly at 28 Taft Avenue in Ryleside. I am a commercial real estate attorney by trade. I practice with Roberto Israel and Weiner in Boston. I've been with the firm for 4 years since I relocated to Beverly. Prior to my time at Beverly, I was also practicing commercial real estate down in New York on Long Island. I did that for about 5 years. My wife is originally from up here, so we relocated long term. Our intention is to stay in Beverly. As I mentioned, I have significant experience with commercial real estate. I regularly appear before zoning boards, planning boards, and city councils all over the greater Boston area, including as far down as Plimpton and the South Shore. So I'm very comfortable with the procedures. I'm comfortable with the underlying Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, and the responsibilities of members of the board.
That's wonderful, thank you. Questions from committee members?
Just a comment.
Sure.
Thank you for throwing an interest. It seems to be hard to always find people willing to serve on the zoning board of appeals or the planning board, and it's spectacular that the fact that the experience that you'll bring to the board if you're accepted as a alternate. So thank you for putting the time in and willing to put the time in.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your expertise with your city. Okay, any other questions?
No questions, Madam Chair. I'll just make a comment. You certainly seem to have a good skill set to bring to the zoning board. And as a former planning board member, even though it's a different board, deals with similarly dense legal and zoning issues and can make for some late nights. So, and in advance, I want to thank you for your sacrifice. The volunteers on those two boards really mean a lot to the city.
My pleasure.
It's true. So the process now is that we can't actually vote an appointment through as we receive it, which I think you're aware of, and so we'll take up the actual vote at our next Legal Affairs Committee meeting. And then the city clerk's office will be in touch with you about getting sworn in and beginning your service.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, order number 216, an appointment for Christopher Cloutman to serve on the Conservation Commission. And Christopher Cloutman is here? No. Okay. No? All right, excellent. Well, then we'll that's also a new appointment that we cannot vote on tonight, so we'll hold that for our next Legal Affairs Committee meeting. Counselor Sweeney?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick comment about this order. I didn't see any resume or accompanying materials from Mr. Cloutman,
Okay.
and so maybe
It came in late today.
you do have it? Okay. I was just, if we didn't have it, I was going to ask that we request it before our next meeting, but it sounds
That's
like we have it.
excellent. Thank you for thinking of that, and it sounds like we'll get it later. Okay,
Perfect.
that's
Thank you.
excellent. Before we vote on it. I think that was everything.
Hold on, let me see. Is there, I have a note here that Jim is gonna be here. I don't know if that was in Finance and Property or? Public Services, okay.
Okay,
So we're
excellent.
all set?
All right.
We're good?
Thank you, everybody. I would accept a motion to adjourn Committee of the Whole.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor? Aye. I would accept a motion to adjourn Legal Affairs Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you so much. Thanks for your help, Lisa, always.
You did good. You didn't need my
I
help.
didn't write anything down here, but.
That's okay. I got it. I don't know.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I missed it. I must have been a deed agreement somewhere.
Sorry
Just don't pick up on it.
It was at, I think it was at like 7:50.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It was in around. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. I'll call the full council back to order. Ms. Kent, let's go to reports from committees, please.
Order number 198, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a request for approval to use FY24 funds towards the payment of 5 prior year invoices totaling $13,791.63. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
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 Thank you. That carries 8-0.
Order number 205 from the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a $2,500 donation from the Beverly Rotary Club to fund the Beverly Police Department officers' equipment. Have considered said matter.
I actually need to recuse myself from this one. Vice President Rotundo, could I ask you to just call for the vote on both of the Rotary gifts? Ms. Kent, would you be able to
Yep.
take 205 and 207?
Gotcha.
Thank you, Councilor Rotundo.
Ms. Kent, you have to help me do this. It's been a few months, a couple of months of,
It's all our first day. Order number 205, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a $2,500 donation from the Beverly Rotary Club to fund the Beverly Police Department's officers' equipment. Have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve the request.
approval goes on the, help me out here, Lisa.
I don't say it, so I don't know.
All right,
And the adoption
on the adoption of the order. Any questions from council? All those in favor?
Aye.
All, Carries 7-0. That's all right. My fault.
Order number 207, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom refer the matter regarding a $2,500 donation from the Beverly Rotary Club to purchase a defibrillator for the fire department, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve that request.
Order comes on the adoption of the approval of the order. Any questions from council? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Well done. Are we done?
Yep.
Excellent. Let's get the president back in.
Unless you want to keep going.
Call the quarterback and first stringer in. Back to the side there.
Do we know where she went? She may have left.
Miss Barry, oh, here she comes. Were you taking a break there? Come on, you threw me to the wolves. Ill-prepared. It's all right.
Thank you, Councilor Rotundo.
Of course. My pleasure. That's what I gave you for action. I set a booby trap on you.
Councilor Crowley tried
I'm
to
good.
warn me about that earlier.
No injury.
Sorry about that.
No one is injured.
You forgot to leave the language for Vice President.
Well, I was going to say, and in my haste, I forgot to explain, I was recusing myself because I am a member of the Beverly Rotary Club. And thank you, Vice President Rotundo. It snuck up on me.
Order number 206, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom referred the matter regarding a $200 grant from DMH and JAD program for FY24 to continue funding 2 co-responding clinicians to support the Beverly Police Department's Community Impact Unit, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments? Councilor Bowen.
Thank you. I just have a comment every time this comes before us that I think it's a really, really valuable program. And actually, we could use more co-responding clinicians just for Beverly, let alone for the other communities. And so as we continue to work through what our police department's budget looks like and where we can utilize grant funding, but also city funding, want to just thank the work that this team does, that the Community Impact Unit does, and say what important work it is and how great it is that we have grant funding at this point, and want to continue that going forward.
Thank you very much, Councilor Bowen. Other questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 8-0.
Order number 208, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom referred the matter regarding a $7,500 grant from Senior Care to support the Council on Aging's outreach program, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 8-0.
Order number 209 from the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom referred the matter regarding a 3-year, $20,027 telecommunications emergency response task program grant from the EOPSS State 911 Department, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 8-0.
Order number 213, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom referred the matter regarding a $1,314,456 National Urban Search and Rescue Response System grant from DHS and FEMA to continue to support development, operations, and maintenance of the National Urban Search and Rescue capabilities at Mass Task Force 1 site in Beverly. Have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments? Question comes on, Councilor Sweeney, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Madam President. Just a quick comment. I know that most folks in the city are aware of the work that Task Force 1 does, but I saw that they had been active in Hawaii with the fires there, in Vermont with the flooding, in Florida last year with the hurricane damage. And so I just wanted to take this chance to publicly acknowledge the residents of Beverly, city employees in Beverly, and others who volunteer with Task Force 1 to go help these areas during their disasters. It's very important work that they do, and I'm glad to see that they're continuing to get outside funding for those operations.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Sweeney, and excellent point, and thanks, very well-deserved for those folks, for sure. Other questions or comments on this one? The question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 8-0.
Order number 214, the Committee on Finance and Property, to whom referred the matter regarding a $295,292 grant from FAA MassDOT Aeronautics for completion of an aeronautical study and obstruction analysis of runways for the Beverly Regional Airport. Have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve this request.
Questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 8-0 as well. And I do just want to take a moment again to acknowledge and thank our City Grants Director, Catherine Barrett, not only for being here tonight, but for her work. It's always a pleasure to be able to accept grants on behalf of the city. And I know, Ms. Barrett, you mentioned you work with many other members of our city staff getting these grants. So thanks to everyone who worked so hard on those.
Order number 190, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding a petition to discharge a municipal mortgage of Victor E. and Dorothy M. Thompson, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Submit the accompanying order and recommend its adoption.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the, Mr. Dole, did you look like you were ready to get up?
I was getting ready if someone had a question.
Oh. Are there questions or comments? Mr. Dole is ready. Okay. Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 8-0. Thank you, Mr. Dole, though. It was good to see you at the ready.
Order 194, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding a reappointment for David Allen St. Pierre to represent Ward 5 on the Open Meetings, Space, and Recreation Committee, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve the reappointment.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 8-0. And thank you to Mr. Alden St. Pierre for being willing to continue in that role.
Order number 195, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding a reappointment for Allison Dudley to represent Ward 3 on the Open Meeting Space and Recreation Committee, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the council approve the reappointment.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That also carries 8-0. And thanks also to Ally Dudley for being willing to continue serving and representing Ward 3.
Order number 196, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding a request to amend the Downtown Beverly Parking District Ordinance, Section 270-66B1 and Section 270-66B2B, to waive all parking fees on street parking for kiosks for city veterans, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Submit the accompanying amended ordinance and recommend its adoption pending publication and final passage.
Thank you, Ms. Kent. So this is a proposed ordinance change, and so as we saw with a few others this evening, that will be available for a first official reading and first vote at our next meeting on September 5th. And thank you again to Councilors Rotundo and Crowley for working to get that submitted for us.
Order number 197, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding a proposed amendment to the City Ordinance, Chapter 270-41, prohibiting parking at all times on both Green Street to Livingston Ave, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Submit the accompanying amended ordinance and recommend its adoption pending publication and final passage.
Thank you, Ms. Kent. Councilor Rotundo, I see your hand.
I just want to make sure, in case anyone's watching on Green Street, the actual order is both sides on Woodland Ave, from Green to Livingstone. So I don't want people who live on Green or Livingstone calling, what do you mean you made it no parking? So it's just really just a clarification. The order's correct and everything like that, but just to make sure that they're aware if someone's watching.
Thank you very much, Councilor. And thank you for your work on this one. Similarly, this, as a proposed ordinance change, will be available for an official first reading and first vote at our next regular meeting on September 5th.
Order number 199, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding a transfer request of 4 leases from Baker Aviation Management, LLC, to the Multi-Wing Aviation, LLC, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Submit the accompanying order and recommend its adoption.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 8-0. And thank you again to our airport manager, Mr. Hannafin, for being here with us tonight. It's nice to meet you.
Order number 200, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding an application for a sandwich board sign for Harbor Suites, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the application be granted.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 8-0.
Order number 201, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom referred the matter regarding a waiver of the city's ordinance, Chapter 113-2, prohibiting possession of consumption of alcohol on a public way or in public spaces for Old Planters Brewing Co., have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the application be granted with the conditions stated by the Alcohol Board.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order as specified by Legal Affairs with conditions as recommended by the Alcohol Board. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 8-0.
Order number 202, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom referred the matter regarding a waiver of the city's ordinance, Chapter 113-2, prohibiting possession of consumption of alcohol on a public way or in a public space for Coastal Brewing Company, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the application be granted with conditions stated by the Alcohol Board.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order as specified by Legal Affairs with the conditions as recommended by the Alcohol Board. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 8-0.
Order number 203, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom refer the matter regarding a waiver of the city's ordinance, Chapter 113-2, prohibiting possession of consumption of alcohol on a public way or in public spaces for Gentile Brewing Company, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the application be granted with the condition stated by the Alcohol Board.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order as specified by Legal Affairs, including any conditions imposed by the Alcohol Board. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 8-0, and thanks to Paul Boudreau for being here tonight to represent and talk about the Beverly Grand Prix event itself as well.
Order number 204, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom referred the matter regarding a waiver of the city ordinance, Chapter 113-2, prohibiting possession of consumption of alcohol on a public way or in public spaces for Gentile Brewing Company, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the application be granted with conditions made by the Alcohol Board, and this is for Wildside Day.
Thank you very much. Questions or comments on this one? Councilor Rotundo, I was looking at you.
I didn't want to speak anymore. I was trying to be kind and save another breath.
Anything you want to say about Wildside Day?
It's a fantastic day. I hope everyone can show up at September 9th, and I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order as specified by Legal Affairs, including any conditions as recommended by the Alcohol Board. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Carries 8-0.
Order number 215, the Committee on Legal Affairs, to whom referred the matter regarding a request for authorization to enter into a contract with the YMCA of the North Shore to provide after-school childcare, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the application be granted.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the order. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 8-0.
Order number 187, the Committee on Public Services, to whom referred the matter regarding a National Grid petition 307-06279 Federal Street to install electric conduits, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Set a public hearing for September 5th at 7:15 p.m.
Questions or comments? The question comes on the acceptance of the proposal and adoption of the recommendation to set that public hearing for September 5th at 7:15 p.m. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 8-0, so that will take place at our next regular city council meeting on September 5th, which is a Tuesday, not a Monday, just as a reminder for anyone following along due to the Monday holiday that week.
Order number 188, the Committee on Public Services, to whom refer the matter regarding National Grid petition 299-20267 Lovett Street to install electric conduits, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend the, set a public hearing for September 5th at 7:25 p.m.
Questions or comments on this one? Question comes on the acceptance of the recommendation to set that public hearing for our September 5th meeting at 7:25 p.m. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 8-0.
Order number 189, the Committee on Public Services, to whom refer the matter regarding a National Grid petition 307-08798 Cherry Hill Park Drive, Cherry Hill Park Drive? Is it both? To install electric conduits, have considered said matter and beg leave to follow. Recommend to set a public hearing on September 5th at 8:30 p.m.
Questions or comments? The question comes on the acceptance of the recommendation of Public Services Committee to set that public hearing September 5th at 8:30 PM. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That carries 8-0. That's all I got. All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Kent. Counselors, any announcements or reminders from anyone on the council? Okay.
Still summertime.
So I guess I'll just repeat the reminder for anyone following along that our next regular meeting of the city council will be a Tuesday meeting, day after Labor Day. That's September 5th. It includes the public hearings that we just set tonight. It also does include, as we talked about earlier, the public hearing on the proposed accessory dwelling unit ordinance change. And so that will be a joint hearing here in the council chambers with the planning board at 8 PM. At 8 PM? Yeah. Okay, thank you. With confidence. So for any of those public hearings, members of the public can come and join us. If you wish to speak, there'll be sign-up sheets. You can sign up at any point, and we'll take speakers in the order that they're signed up. And it's always really wonderful to hear from members of the public, so I would encourage each of us to make sure we share this information out in all of our networks, but for anyone watching, please come and join us. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. That carries 8-0, and we're adjourned. Thank you, Ms. Kent. Thank you, BevCam.